Hey, we're here today to demonstrate the setup of a TrimLine canopy. Chris is going to show us how to put a TrimLine together. He's got his unit all ready, took the poles out of the box and bundled those up. He's got his top and walls in one box and all of his hardware in the other. A good way to start with the TrimLine setup is to insert thumb screws into the fittings. Some of the fittings have washer nuts welded to the fitting, and the thumb screw just threads right in there. Chris starts with one of his foot joints, and he'll just work his way through the box and get thumb screws in all the fittings that need them. Alright, with the fittings all set to go, now Chris will start to put his poles together. He'll loose the bundles. And one thing to keep track of here is that some of the poles are coated purple. So they're just a purple stripe at one end. And there'll be purple males and purple females. So you want to match those up. So Chris will identify one purple male, one purple female, and they just slide together and click in place. The rest of the poles that are males and females are no color poles, and as it says, there's no color to them, and that's because they're all interchangeable. So again, the male just slides in, clicks in place, and that one's ready to go. Along with the purple poles and the no color poles, there's also a ridge pole, and that one is identified because it's the only one that's a smaller diameter. That's actually a 3/4 inch diameter tubing, but it's a male pole and a female like all the others, so it just slides together and clicks in place. With the male and female poles all put together, what's left are the plastic rafter poles and the leg poles. Those are identified by being bigger in diameter than all the other poles. There's also two short poles that you'll see later on that will be what we call the riser poles. And because Chris will be setting up an awning with his TrimLine, there's two awning poles, and those are coated AWN on the end of them. With the poles all set, Chris likes to set up his TrimLine by laying the poles out in a square, and that's the way they'll be in the canopy. So he starts with his purple poles and lays them out approximately 10 feet apart, two purples, and then his no color poles, again approximately 10 feet apart. That gives you an idea of the space that the TrimLine will take up when you set it up. The next step is to slide the rafter base parts onto the purple poles. There's a rafter base. The black arrow will point inwards towards the inner part of the square that Chris has started to put together. The joint slides past the first snap button and clicks onto the second snap button in. Again, the rafter base slides past one snap button and clicks on to the second snap button. With the rafter bases in place on both of the purple poles, the next step is to slide T-joints onto the no color poles. And again, this is a process of just sliding past the first snap button out at the edge of the pole and on into the middle. And one thing that's important with the T-joint is you want to position it so that it clicks in place and it covers up the center line of the pole sections on the no color pole. So again, you slide it past one snap button onto the other one such that the center line is covered up. If you're going to be using an optional rear door on your TrimLine, this would be a good time to set the rear door L joint onto the frame of the TrimLine. You can note that the door L has extra holes on one of the barrels, and it's actually a longer barrel. That's the one that'll point down and will accept the leg. And here again, it's a matter of sliding the joint onto the frame. Just slide it past one snap button, and you want to put it in about 3 feet in or so. If you'll be using an optional French wall on your trim line, this would be a good time to install the offset leg joint onto the frame. Here's the offset leg joint, and you can tell the barrel that goes down is the one that has the multiple holes on it, and that barrel will accept a leg on your French wall. And here again, it's a matter of sliding the leg joint, the offset leg joint, onto the pole, past one snap button, and just set it up right next to the rafter bases. Now's the time to put the corner joints onto the frame. Here Chris has one corner joint, one left and one right. Notice that the barrel with the thumb screw on it points down. That'll accept the leg. And notice that the corner joints have rafter stubs welded to them. One nice way to think about this is that the rafter stub on the corner joint points the same way as the rafter base on the purple pole. So in this case, Chris has a left corner joint, and that'll go on the front left of the canopy. And it's just a matter of sliding it onto the purple pole and click it in place, and then slide it onto the no color pole and click it in place. Notice that the T-joint on the no color pole is pointing up. Here goes the other corner joint. This is a right corner joint. And again, it's pointing in the same direction as the rafter bases. At this point, we'll install the ridge pole onto the frame. Chris will start with the short 26-inch riser pole, and that'll click into the riser T. Next, take the ridge support joint and put that onto the ridge pole. Clicked in place. And we'll do that on the other side as well. The riser pole in position. And the ridge support onto the ridge pole. Now the easy way to do this is just start that ridge support joint onto the pole. Doesn't have to click in place, just get it started. Go to the other side, click that one in place, and then come back and finish the last click.